This guy says, I had what I thought was a sure thing, but looking back, there were red flags I didn't see. Date only every 2 weeks, text back every 2 to 3 days. The last 2 weeks of things, he says, I always kept my messages short. He says the last outing, they were late to, even though I built in our start time an hour and a half later to prevent that, but things happen. I get it. Skipped out on dinner afterwards, saying that they were tired. Thanked me for the time afterwards via text. No response to any text after that. And I only sent 2 texts since that time, almost 2 weeks ago. Well, for starters, I'll say this, is that I'm very much a time person, and I fundamentally do not date people that are wasting my time. I dated this girl years ago. We went on 4 dates, and then there was supposed to be a 5th date. But the first date, she was 40 minutes late for. The second date, she was 20 minutes late for, at which point I expressed, hey, like, I'm taking time out of my day. Can we show up on time? Be great. So the third date, she showed up on time. 4th date, I was meeting her at a coffee shop. I get there, and at this point, I started to invoke what I call the 10-minute rule, which is this. If I get to a place first before a woman, let's say we're not at the phase where like I'm picking her up yet, right? If I get to a place first, I wait 10 minutes. That's it. That's all they get. If the woman does not show up in 10 minutes, I get up and I leave. Now, if she happens to show up afterwards, I do not care, because I'm establishing that my boundary is that my time is to be respected. I'm taking time out of my day. I'm spending money that I may or may not have, because at the time I was darn near broke, to take you out for a good time. If you're not willing to just simply show up when the time is supposed to happen, then this doesn't need to happen. So for that 4th date, I got on a bus and I rode back home. She calls me like 5 minutes later. Hey, where you at, Harry? I said, I'm going home because you didn't show up on time. Like I told you, I'm a stickler for time. 5th date, I had planned for us to go see a play. And again, at this time, I had no car, but I was willing to just go catch buses to go places. I would meet people at the places and still on the bus, still get there before they did. I don't know how that happened. I was here 4 years in California. I got everywhere on time. Women with cars weren't getting to dates on time. It's uncanny. But yeah, so this woman said she would be willing to pick me up. I said, are you sure? Because I can just meet you there. She said, no. I'll pick you up. What's the pickup time? I said, great. The play starts at 9. So pick me up at no later than like 8:20. What do you think happened? 8:20 comes, not there. 8:30 comes, not there. 8:45 comes, not there. The play starts at 9 o'clock. This chick gets there at 8:55. I literally walked out of my apartment to her car, and I said, we're not going to the play. And then I'd actually bought her flowers. So I said, hold on, I'll be right back. I went to my apartment. I came back. I gave her the flowers and said, here you go. And she's like, oh, okay, well, thanks. I said, okay, great. Now bye. And then she left, at which point I got on a bus and went to a friend of mine's place. While I'm on the bus, she's texting me, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry I was late and blah, blah, blah. I was trying to, and I didn't care because, again, I can be on time, and I'm trying to be respectful of you by showing you a good time and by planning out dates, because women want men to plan out dates. So I'm planning out these great, fantastic dates. And her response is, but I can't show up on time. And that is an area where if you set a boundary and she's breaking it, don't date those women, because it goes beyond just the dating phase. You got to look at, if she's disrespecting your time right now and saying her time is more valuable, how's that going to then equate later on when you guys are in a relationship where you're always late to stuff, where she doesn't care what you got going on because what she has going on is more important. You don't accept those kind of women. Continuing, he says, no response to any text after that. And I was, okay. So he says, not the end of the world, but this video got me thinking about a variance in how I present myself. I think I was talking in that video about how we present ourselves in the world and how we view ourselves versus how the world's actually viewing us. It's very, very important to distinguish, because we can have viewpoints about ourselves that could be negative, for example, that the world is like, but that's a positive, or that's not even a thing. What are you talking about? And so you got to get to the frame of mind of recognizing that your viewpoint of you in the world is only one viewpoint, and your viewpoint's not always the right one. But anyway, he says, got me thinking about a variance in how I present myself on the outing and how I am afterwards. Although, if anything, I think I show more interest on the date itself. Yeah, I think I actually talked about how the problem is that for a lot of guys in dating, in the beginning, we are we could be very indifferent and we're not stressing everything so much. At the point that a girl says yes to a date and we take her out, now we're all of a sudden, I got to talk to her all the time. I got to, talk to her about serious things. And so we change in a woman's eyes from we were this way when we first met her, and now we're this way, and these two things are different from each other, so she doesn't know who she's getting, which can make a woman feel very, very unsafe and cause her to start to lose interest. Continuing, he says, I asked if they were adverse to hugging. Don't ever do that. I asked her if they were adverse to hugging and said no, and she said, go for it. And they grimaced, but so he went for it, but they grimaced in the outing right before the last one when I did it. So I never tried hugging again. That was probably when it truly ended right there. Well, that's the thing of like, this is why also you need to be doing touch tests early on. Like I always tell you guys, you want to see on that first date if she's going to be the one to break that touch barrier, whether she's touching your shoulder or accidentally bumping up against you. If that doesn't happen on the first date, though, that second date's when you need to start trying to break some of those barriers. But really, even on a first date, most of the time by the end of a first date, I'm able to just go in and get a hug, and it's not like an awkward thing. If you're getting that kind of response, that is subconsciously her body's way of showing you that she's not really feeling you. And some women, they'll allow that to happen and still kind of recoil back a bit. That's when you need to start reading body language and seeing how she's responding to that. If you're trying to hug her and you feel her tensing up or recoiling, that should be your tell that she's really not feeling you like that. At which point, you got a decision to make. Do you want to try to go on another date with her? Or do you want to take what her body's doing and say, this probably isn't for the best, and just chalk it up to, hey, not every woman's going to be for you. That's totally fine. And then just know not to call her again, or to ask her out on one more date to see if she says yes to it, and then see if you get the same reaction. But those kind of signs are really strong. If she's recoiling from a hug or recoiling from a kiss of some kind, then that usually indicates that even though she's putting on a really nice girl front, she's really not feeling you. And I would say, get out of that scenario. You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class